There are a number of coaches in college football that I enjoy hearing from, and they're in the minority because most of them just spit out a bunch of coach speak, especially during these media days. We could get them in a back room and inject a truth serum, and it would be fascinating discussion, but we can't do that. So you need to latch on to the guys that really will tell it like it is and share their opinion. Brett Bielema, now at Illinois, and a few others. Eli Drinkwitz was a breath of fresh air at Missouri at SEC Media Days, but of course the king of the conversation in regards to combining the talking and the winning would be Dabo Swinney at Clemson. I believe, and I've always said this, since he has risen to prominence in college football and become outspoken and a guy and a coach that people listen to, of course they weren't listening to him necessarily in 2010, but since he's won a couple national championships and his team is one of the three elites in college football, everything he says is heard. I think Dabo Swinney is good for college football. I have no doubt. And that doesn't mean I agree with everything he says. I have posted videos at the Voice of College Football stating what Dabo Swinney just said makes no sense, it's contradictory, and it's unreasonable, or whatever the case might be. So I don't agree with Dabo Swinney all the time, but Dabo Swinney is good for college football. He's a good man based on everything we've seen and know about him. We don't know his private life, but he's a good man, a man of faith, and his players love him. There's a reason they love him, because he cares about them, and then he goes out and wins football games and kicks the rest of the tail in the ACC and most of the time in the rest of the country. So, point number one here in regards to our response to Dabo Swinney's appearance at ACC Kickoff would be NIL. Dabo Swinney was presented with the question, NIL. You were hesitant about NIL. I've also heard it stated in other places that Dabo Swinney's on record as saying he does not believe that college football players should be paid. I am guessing that Dabo Swinney meant college football players should not be paid by the institutions in terms of earning a salary. He probably still believes that, and that's not what's being done. That's not NIL. NIL is basically incorporating yourself, being a business, and being available to sign a contract with businesses for your services as an independent agent of sorts. That's not being an employee of a university as a football player. So I'm believing that Dabo Swinney has stuck to his word on that, even though he's being misrepresented, I believe. Leave your comments below if you know anything different. Also, he stated he was not hesitant about NIL or contradictory or negative in any way about NIL. He said that basically their approach at Clemson to NIL fits in with what they're already doing in providing financial literacy programs and teaching, still in line with their priorities at Clemson to graduate the players, give them a great collegiate experience, a great football experience, and win championships. So that won't change, but they'll just add a component to their financial assistance right now, their financial training, instruction. He talked about how he worked in college, but again, he was umpiring games and mowing grass and doing those sorts of things. This slightly different with DJ Uiagalelei. I don't think he's going to be painting many barns around Clemson, South Carolina. Okay. This was the main narrative that I got out of Dabo Swinney, and I think it is tremendous. Even though I'm for an expanded playoff, I'm a college football fan and analyst. I've been in the broadcasting field. I've been in the TV industry. That's my slice of it, and been a fan, of course. I want to see more football. If we could play these in terms of a video game instead of having guys go out there and slam helmets together, then it would be phenomenal. And I do believe that the expanded playoff is better for competition and a more meaningful championship. Right now, it's an invitational. In the expanded playoff field, it will still be an invitational, but all the reasonable teams that have any shot of winning a national championship will be there, unlike today. So the expanded playoff, despite the 12 teams not making sense because buys do not work, and for my video on that, certainly check it out on the main channel. But I thought Dabo Swinney, and I watched both the Dabo Swinney appearance at the podium, but also his 25 minutes on the side with reporters. I thought that he stated his case, and this is one of the reasons why he's good for college football. He said, I attended the proposal, it must have been the night before the ACC kickoff, where all the coaches and other people were presented with the playoff proposal, and he said it was a tremendous presentation. He gave all sorts of appreciation and respect to the committee that put it together and all the research, and said they did a great job of both researching and delivery. But Dabo Swinney's sticking up for the collegiate football player, saying, does anybody that doesn't play or coach football at this level understand the amount of hard work and dedication and the grind, the mental and physical grind that's involved in playing at that level, meaning not just the level of the 12 games during the regular season, but the collegiate football playoff level against elite competition. And he used, for example, Clemson's experience at Levi Stadium in the 2018 championship game when they beat Alabama, and coming off the field and just reaching that high, that pinnacle, defeating the giant of the sport, going in the locker room and just cutting loose, letting loose, celebrating. But that would not be the experience with an expanded playoff. Okay, so the only inaccuracy or inconsistency there is, of course, there are playoff games now, so Clemson is playing the likes of who have they played in the semifinal round? Ohio State 3 times, Notre Dame, Oklahoma. So they do have to play that kind of an opponent in the semifinal game already. So this already happens where they lay it all out on the line, they expend all the energy, they get beat up and banged up and go through the fight, and then they've got to do it all over again. So that already happens, but his case is that they have to do it multiple times and how difficult that is. So he's just looking out for the college football player, and I think it's commendable. That's the reason he's not for the playoff being expanded, and he was not. According to him, I don't remember the rhetoric at the time, he was not for the 4-team playoff. Basically for the same reason, plus it devalues the bowls, and he did a great job of outlining what college football is all about and should be all about, and that we should have focus on, give attention, cherish, and value the bowl system and the bowl games that reward the teams for a successful season. And that's already deteriorating and will even more so with the 12-team playoff. So I thought all of that was fascinating in regards to Dabo Swinney staying true to his word and his stance on the college football playoff, defending the position of the college football player that really has no other representation in this. And when it's all said and done, saying, hey, the train has left the station. I'm not fighting it. I'm just letting you know, let's keep the player in mind when we build this thing out and figure out how to lessen the load leading into the playoff. Good comments by Dabo Swinney at ACC Kickoff. Please leave your comments below. Subscribe right here at the Voice of College Football Clemson, and we will see you next time.